The 359 is sponsored by USB Technology. The USB Implementers Forum reminds consumers that USB IF logos are displayed on certified USB products. So the next time you're shopping for a reliable USB charger, cable, or device, look for the logos. Get the whole story at enablingus.org. Welcome and good morning to the 359 podcast. It's episode 446 on Tuesday, August 21st. I'm BBG. And in the house, you've got a packed one. You got Ben, you got Roger, you got Rich, Nieva. And this time we're late because not Ben's fault, because Roger's fault.
Yeah, sure.
I did it.
Yeah.
I was on time.
That's true. Not bad.
Rich, thanks for being here, by the way.
Yeah,
We've got
thanks.
Rich for only a few more days.
Our Microsoft beat reporter.
Let's call me that.
Wait.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. Rich Nieva, my best friend. Need to get that one in there since Alfred's not around to try to steal you away.
Yeah, I just found
There
out
you
about
go.
that. It's very flattering.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, you're in demand.
Yeah.
What
All
I
right.
say?
What do we have
What are
today,
we talking
by the
about? We're
way?
talking about, well, we have Rich on to talk about two stories. One, a new Google Fit announcement. I wasn't even aware what Google Fit was, so Rich will explain what that is for me. We'll talk about Microsoft identifying a new wave of Russian hacking, this time against conservative groups. And lastly, we want to talk about the Oppo Find X, a phone that our colleague Aloysius Lowe calls more beautiful than the Galaxy S9, which itself is a pretty handsome Android phone. As always, if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. Brian will pick out the best, and we'll get them in 3 minutes and 59 seconds.
Shout out to everybody tuning in from Texas today. We'll see you guys back in the chat in 3 minutes and 59 seconds from 3, 2...
Welcome to the 359. I'm Roger Chang.
I'm Ben Fox Rubin.
And with us is special guest Rich Nieva. Rich, you're here to talk about some announcements. Google has an announcement to, in addition to Google Fit, basically this program to help motivate you to move more, be more active.
Yeah.
Tell me about this.
So it's a little bit of an overhaul of Google Fit, and it's their platform to basically try to get you to exercise more. And it's an app that you can find on like an Android phone or an Android smartwatch.
I'm so lazy. I didn't actually know Google Fit was a thing, but
Same
apparently
here.
it is.
Yeah.
I just don't like to move, so I think Google Fit would be kind of worthless for me.
Well, then you're really gonna hate this new thing that they
tell me about
that they announced today, because it's literally called Move Minutes.
Oh no.
That's the worst.
And there's another thing that they announced called Heart Points, and those are
Wait,
basically like
that's like an RPG thing, right? Hard points. Like no.
sure,
Like
yeah.
Link,
Yeah, if
like
you
get-
run out of hard
yeah,
points,
Yeah, you die, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The game's over.
So
Go on. Sorry.
You'll die if you don't use this.
What are hard points?
It's a gamification thing. You know,
Okay.
it's like it's meant to encourage you to, like, instead of taking like an elevator, then take the stairs.
Okay.
Or instead of like meeting up with a friend for coffee, then like you meet up with a friend and take a walk around the block, kind of thing.
Okay.
Does this
So-
stuff work? Like, for instance, you've got the Apple Watch.
Yeah.
The Apple
I've
Watch.
got the rings. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it also turns on like a certain notification that like to
tells you to
stand
stand
up.
up.
Yeah,
Stand
yeah,
up more
yeah.
often.
It,
Do you actually do that?
Yeah.
Does it work?
Actually, I mean, I kid about being completely lazy. Like, I will get up and walk around for a bit when I get the reminder. So it does kind of work. I don't know how much it helps. The timing is interesting because we've got IFA next year. Oh yeah, IFA
It's my watch told me to stand
We've
up.
got IFA next week. Ben will be going there. We're expecting at least a couple of smartwatch announcements, right? And I imagine Google Fit plays well into smartwatches. And,
Yeah.
and Wear OS.
Skagen is having an announcement. That's one of the fossil companies. So we are expecting quite a bit of smartwatch news along with smart appliances stuff. So definitely look out for the IFA news as it starts rolling out, I guess, mid next week. And excited to be in Berlin.
All right, it looks like Russian influence over our elections hasn't stopped. Microsoft has discovered a new wave of hacking attempts on sites belonging to two U.S. conservative groups. Rich,
Yeah.
what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing here is that, you know, it looks like Russia's not done.
Yeah,
We're
right.
not done yet.
Well, it's interesting because initially a lot of the targets were with the Democratic Party. This looks like they're going after the other side, right?
Right. So, I mean, I guess the takeaway here is that it's broader than we thought. And these sites are posing as legitimate sites, and they're stealing passwords and credentials, reportedly.
the idea there, I guess, is like when you look at it from a Democratic or conservative side, it's more like the idea to sow chaos as opposed to, and that was the same thing in 2016, as opposed to really specifically targeting just one side, which granted, that was also happening.
Yeah, we definitely saw that with the Internet Research Agency. It was definitely both sides. It wasn't, they didn't pick a party. Lastly, one little-known Chinese phone maker may have an Android phone that's more beautiful than Galaxy S9. That's according to our colleague Aloysius Lowe. Says the Oppo Find X is probably the most gorgeous phone he's seen all year.
And
no bezel, by the way. No bezel, no notch, full screen. It's got a pop-up camera. So it's definitely
It's
unique.
not selling in the U.S., unfortunately, but it does look really nice. It's interesting. And in Jessica Dolcourt's video about this, she said, even though it's not going to arrive in the U.S., hopefully some of those innovative designs do find their way into different phones. It is kind of cool, but I think it might get a little annoying after a while that the entire back opens, lifts up to allow you to take a selfie.
Yeah,
so
if you've got like a spontaneous selfie, that doesn't really work too well.
it's from hashtag Team Anti-Notch. I celebrate this
Well,
new innovation.
Keep in mind, Oppo is owned by BKK, which also owns OnePlus. So given that we know that the OnePlus is coming to T-Mobile, maybe we'll see phones with pop-up cameras and all bezel, or no bezel, no notch phones in the future.
All bezel.
All right. For more of the story, check us out on CNET. I'm Roger Chang.
I'm Ben Fox Rubin.
I'm Rich Nieva.
Thanks for listening.
That's pretty good. Dad's gonna get mad at us.
All right, thanks everybody for joining us for the recording of the 359 audio podcast. Now, as always, it's time for you to question what we just reported on so we can keep the conversation going. What?
It's true.
That's a good way of putting it.
Everything we say should be questioned all the time.
I want to pose this to the chat. So obviously we talk a lot about notches and how notches have taken over, and it's basically if you have a premium phone these days, it's a notch.
Gotta have a notch.
For customers that are watching this, would you prefer no notch but have this pop-up camera thing? Because it's not like that is a perfect solution either.
Right.
I'd be worried that if you break it,
or would you go back to the bezel? Like Samsung still has that frame above the screen, right? The sides are bezel-less, but they decided to go no notch and have an actual strip across the top of the phone that has the camera.
Right, which is that's how everybody used to do it. So I guess the question is, would you prefer a notch or a pop-up camera? Which one would you go with? So we'll see what people come back with.
Wait,
Right.
you looking at me?
No. Any questions?
Oh, sure, yeah. Let's do that, 'cause that's the point of the show. Will Berry says, I'm guessing the rumored Pixel Watch might have something to do with Google Fit.
Ooh, that's a really good guess.
Yeah.
What do you think, Rich?
Maybe. Rich knows something. Spill the beans.
Spill the beans. I mean, yeah.
Do we know that it's going to be called a Pixel Watch, or
We don't know anything.
We don't even know that it exists.
I mean, anything that Google can do to expand the kinds of data that it can collect is a good business move for Google. So
sure.
And going back to all of this Fit stuff, I mean, it is another reminder of just how granular the data that they can collect on you is.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's the idea with Move Minutes, for instance. Like, instead of just tracking something pretty rudimentary like steps, it can track a handful of different things. I know the Apple Watch, like I met with the Apple folks a couple months ago, and the Apple Watch tries to do some of that as well, where like it's that one was for accessibility reasons, where if you're in a wheelchair, it also tracks your activity. So it seems like these smartwatches are getting better at tracking different types of activity and not just steps.
Yeah, like one of the examples Google gave is like if you're doing yoga or if you're gardening, like it knows if you're gardening. It's
Will
like,
it know if I'm walking and holding my kid? Because I don't think my Apple Watch knows that. And I feel like I should get more credit for
Should
that.
get more points for that
Yeah.
if
Right?
you're holding
Should
that
get, like,
kid.
It's a
double
weight.
points.
It's
It's
basic.
weight, yeah.
Maybe they should give the kid an Apple Watch and then it gets tracked on the kid's Apple Watch, right?
So you're just selling Apple
That's
Watches
an
now,
upsell.
aren't you?
That's an Apple Watch upsell right there.
So if you really want to track your kid, get him an Apple Watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Danny Green says, my move reminders are turned off. If I'm sitting that long, I'm likely doing something I can't walk away from at the time, like when I'm directing video for an hour and 45 minutes on a Sunday morning. Same, Danny. Same.
Yeah, I hear you.
From Michael Brown, I'm curious, how many of you have a Wear OS smartwatch? Tell us if you do and what brand you own, or if you've owned one in the past. Let's go ahead and expand it to that.
I don't have one.
I've tried one. Yeah, I've tried them because I cover
Right.
Google, but
Because
I don't,
you're obligated
but
to.
but I don't wear any smartwatch. I actually really like regular watches.
Oh wow, that's so
Weird.
so
Yeah.
quaint.
You call yourself a tech
I
reporter?
know.
I know.
What the heck?
Yeah.
I mean, I have an Apple Watch, and I was regularly using a Gear S3, the Samsung Gear S, but that's also not Wear OS, right? That uses their own Tizen operating system. So I actually haven't. I mean, I've handled and played with Wear OS smartwatches, but I've never really been drawn to them.
Yeah, it might be fun to get Scott Stein on because he does a ton on wearables, like after IFA.
Scott's on a boat though.
Scott's on a boat, but when he's
Floating
no
the ocean
longer
somewhere.
on a boat, we'll try to get him back on here and like maybe do a show specifically about wearables.
We can do that.
I don't know that anybody would watch that show.
Probably not.
Michael Brown will be on. We will enjoy having you.
Just you, Michael.
Yeah.
Private show.
Private show.
Private show. That doesn't sound right.
doesn't sound
That doesn't sound right.
It's only a matter of time before Scott just looks like a comic book character with like utility belts and a Chewbacca belt and just like all the wearables.
Oh, he's
wanna
halfway there.
I want to see him just completely like right down to the Nintendo Power Glove, just built
Whoa.
up into
Wow.
this like autonomous Terminator looking.
He would be right
wearable
at
man.
home with the
Nanos.
Power Glove. Yeah.
It's so bad. Jacob Lombardo, it's obvious Google is trying to look like the nice guy with the experimentation of increased development in digital well-being and Google Fit. Do you think that the regular customer is looking at this and taking it as a good look towards Google motives? Or is it really looking that they're saying that all of these, all the time, are just trying to farm more data on us?
I mean,
Good analysis.
Yeah.
I mean, I think both can be true.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I think there's an overall trend with tech companies. I mean, you're seeing with Apple too, right? To kind of push wellness as a way to get you to buy these devices, right? Like this isn't just a watch; it's supposed to save your life. It's supposed to get you motivated. I mean, Tim Cook has
Actually,
said
you're
that,
right.
Heart monitors.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
But also in their advertising, they specifically mentioned the Apple Watch was like save people's lives or something. Like some guy was having a heart attack, and the Apple Watch like
Right.
would just like alerted, I don't know, a robot or something. So I made up the last part, but whatever.
I'm sure that's not true.
But yeah, it's
But yes,
if you're into that kind of stuff, I guess it's something useful where it's more granular information, but at the same time, totally, absolutely good analysis that these giant tech companies are now going to have more and different kinds of information about you, which is what's so great about this year is that we're talking so much more about these data privacy issues and you know how much information an Apple or a Google stores about you.
Yeah, and it's interesting to juxtapose like this announcement against the news that came out last week, where Google was in hot water for its location services.
That's a good point.
yeah.
And how it kind of it tracks you even though
Even when you turn
that
off
setting.
location
Yeah.
history, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Coming in from Nalini, what do you mean this time Apple will collaborate with Garmin? I'm not sure who said that. I don't recall.
I don't think we said that.
Didn't say
I
that.
never said that. That
that
might
it?
have been in the chat.
That might
Yeah.
have been in the chat.
Yeah.
Apologies. I'm doing too many things at once.
It's all good.
Let's move on to the Oppo. It's a cool phone. Is it a practical phone? Oh, Will Berry says, I don't see a problem with keeping a chin and forehead, especially if that means keeping dual front-facing speakers. There's a good priority to have.
Oh, there's
a good point.
You must be a fan of those old HTC boom sound speakers. Those were known for their large chin and forehead. I don't know. I feel like the trend has moved beyond that. Like the idea of having a bezel-less phone, like basically all screen. That's kind of where the industry's going. So if you miss those days where there are like large foreheads and chins, like you're out of luck. Or I guess you can buy a cheaper phone because I think those are still a thing. But like the trend is like the rumors for the next iPhones, they're all gonna have this bezel-less notch design. So that's kind of where things are going.
Yeah, and that design might change in a couple of years, but in the interim, like in the short term, that's what we've got. I totally agree. And
I mean,
yeah,
you see
some
like
of the,
every sci-fi show, like every Black Mirror or whatever, like all of those phones are like almost all glass, or I think the industry is shooting towards that kind of fictional future of like basically just glass.
right. And one of the cool things, and this goes to Westworld, is one of the cool things that's expected to come from Samsung, next year or something, or the foldable phone.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if you are kind of getting sick of how phones look like, or you don't really like the bezel-free design, then there's an opportunity to get like a billfold phone, which
There you go.
could be really interesting. I mean, like I'm certainly we've talked about that for years, and like it hasn't hit the market yet.
Well, remember a couple of years ago when like the scroll thing, they're like those phones,
rollable
Yeah.
phones.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever happened to that?
It's that to me is like kind of like a bridge, or it was like a step in their design process to try to get to like a foldable phone. I don't think anybody really wants like a rolled up burrito phone in their pocket.
A burrito phone would be kind of cool.
If you can
Put some
eat
bean
it.
in there. Yeah, a little.
Just so that you can say the phrase burrito phone.
Yeah, well, look, part of the issue was they were able to get the display to bend and fold, but the problem is getting the components to do that.
Right, like
is
the
a whole
battery.
other problem, no, a whole other issue, right? Yeah, exactly.
And
Battery,
by
the
components, you
processor.
mean like the beans and the
yes, the cheese.
and
Does this phone have guacamole, and is it extra?
But yeah, well, the guacamole is extra. That's
go-
the premium tier.
When you
Right
go to
there.
the Verizon store, they're like, listen, the guacamole on this phone
It's
is
an extra
$1.25.
No, it's an extra $100. Because yes, I know the guacamole is extra.
Chipotle
I will
of-
take the guacamole version.
You know Apple's charging like 3 times as much. All right. Anyway, we should get to... That joke was a good one.
Yeah.
That
Let's
was
let it keep
solid.
going.
That was solid. You should file that one.
Thank you. Ouch.
James-
I'm not sure if you're serious or not.
Never. James Collins, why not embrace the notch? That's a really
Oh.
good question. Just because we tease it, we make fun of it all the time. But honestly, let's get objective as all hell right now. What's worse, bezel or notch?
I mean, the bezel's worse. Like I go back to I have a 7 Plus and a 10. I go back to my 7 Plus. I'm like, oh, this looks kind of, and it looks old fashioned. I guess the fact that it's got this chunky part of the phone that doesn't really have utilitarian purpose.
I don't know. So this is an S8, and it has like...
Look at that terrible bezel on the top.
Yeah, it's just got like the little
Yeah,
thing on the
viewers
top, the
can't
little
see that.
forehead
They're
on the
looking-
top.
They're looking at your microphone.
Oh, whatever. Fine. It's got a little forehead on top, and I don't really care that much. I think it's totally fine. I feel like a
by the
notch
way,
would be distracting, but
I've
I
already
don't have
said-
an iPhone.
I've already said I'm okay with the notch. I would like the notch to be a little bit smaller. I know the OnePlus 6 and a couple other phones have the option where like it'll black out that part of the screen, so there isn't a notch. So if you're annoyed by it, there's sort of a like a digital solution. And I think they kind of split the difference since they still put the time up there in like a different color. So it's like no notch. It's kind of bezel, but the time is up there. So
We were also joking around before the show about the idea of having like an in-screen camera, so you wouldn't need
I wasn't
a notch.
joking about that. I think that's going to happen in like a few years, like a camera embedded underneath the display.
How would that
There's
even
technology that allows like the screen to like that part of the screen in front of the camera to like blank out or go blank and be able to shoot out.
work? Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
There are patents filed for it already. It's been in development for years. I'm sure Apple has like a ton of people working on that now.
Yeah, so we're going to have the in-display fingerprint sensor. That's already hitting the market. And then maybe in-display camera at some point.
At some point,
You're just going to have a clean sheet of glass and then maybe fold it.
Black Mirror. That's what I'm saying.
It's coming. It's
coming.
coming. I mean, it might take a while, but we'll see.
By and large, the chat is against the notch. I myself
Thank you.
would prefer a bezel because the way I like to hold my phone. And I can't tell you how many times now that I have a Galaxy S8 Active, which I like a lot, but that edge to edge, and it's not even as edge to edge as some of them out there, but it's closer than I'm used to. I can't tell you how many times I'm just trying to watch a video or something like that, and I accidentally scrub backwards or something stupid like that.
Oh, yeah,
And that's just, and I
yeah,
don't
that's
want to
true.
get one of those stupid little capper things you put on the back of the case. That's the whole reason I got this phone, so I wouldn't have to put a case on it. And for the record, I got so angry the other day, I threw the phone, put a hole in the wall, phone survived.
Wow.
Wait, so is the
Nice.
chat case or or anti-case?
We haven't brought up case yet. We're just still talking notch bezel, and I haven't seen a
I'm still
single one
case.
anti-bezel.
So the S8 Active, by the way, Brian, is that like the
That's the one that's
hardier?
it's hardened. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not quite mil spec, but it's like pretty durable.
It's a brick. It's
Yeah.
pretty heavy. Is the only real downside to it, but
I mean, for you, it's perfect considering how often you throw your phone.
The bullet points on it specifically mention, like, Brian, you can throw this phone. It's totally fine.
I want to see my testimony on the next box, like the next active, like the S9.
I threw this phone.
15 times.
Brian
Still
from
survived.
CNET. I
This
threw it
phone
through a
gets
wall.
5 throws.
Rage throws.
Another question from Jacob Lombardo as we move on. After a few months of normal wear and tear, the battery of my Wear OS watch, the battery wouldn't even last a day. How are companies going to change this? You can't really make it larger. It would kind of defeat the purpose of the watch.
All right, Rich, go ahead and answer this question.
Battery tech, huh?
I think, look, this is a dilemma that all filmmakers are dealing with, or all OEMs,
device makers.
Device makers, is that how do you get a watch that lasts longer but keep the size fairly small? And, I mean, you saw with the Apple Watch, the last Apple Watch where they embedded LTE, like the watch got thicker. Like they kind of like made it, they kind of hid the bulk underneath, but it is thicker. And so, I mean, I think that's right now, without like a huge jump in battery technology, like wholesale change away from like lithium ion, we're kind of stuck basically just with a bigger battery if you want it to last longer.
I mean, there are little things you can do with design, with software fixes where like you can optimize and maybe have them not, have apps not do things in the background.
Right.
Or have your phone just shut down on you, which Apple did.
Sure.
What was that thing?
Sure.
Please remind me.
That was it was for older phones, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where they would just slow them down.
Right.
So
I mean, there's things like Qualcomm's got quick charging. So there are ways to kind of mitigate it. Like I think wireless charging will eventually help once you see charging stations all around in public spaces. So it's not as much of a worry. But yeah, that's just going to continue to be a problem.
Maximilian Matthews is changing the pace on us, wants to know, when do you think that Apple is going to send out the September event invites?
Ooh, great question.
And with that, would the event bring to us the Mesmeric Air Power Mat?
Oh, God, that thing. Maybe, I don't know, they keep pushing that thing back. So I think part of me is suspecting that it's an issue with like the standards and working with the Qi and the consortium to kind of get all of that stuff settled. But in terms of the invitations, I think we're all like targeting September 11th for the actual date, but we don't actually know. But if you kind of work backwards, it's probably a week before that. So you can sort of see the invites coming out either next week or the week after. But fairly shortly, we should see something or hear something soon.
There's also a rumor that there's going to be, there was a story yesterday that there's going to be an October event where the MacBook Air might actually finally get a refresh.
We were just like crapping on that idea and like telling someone like, sorry, don't think about it.
How many times in the last year has the chat been just jonesing like, where's the new MacBook Air? And it's finally...
Take it with a grain of salt, though. We've
just a rumor.
Literally talked about MacBook Air refresh, like a real refresh with getting rid of the bezel and adding a Retina display for at least 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah.
And the idea is that the lowest tier MacBook Pro was supposed to be,
or MacBook, just the MacBook, not the MacBook
or the
Pro.
MacBook.
Yeah.
Either one of those were supposed to be the refresh, but they're like 20 to 30% more money.
Yeah.
So people are obviously looking for, just a slightly better MacBook Air at the same price, and like Apple has so far refused to do it. So I'll believe it when I see it.
Although you have to wonder,
I hear it's gonna have a notch.
It's gonna be the best notch
I
ever.
wonder how they're gonna how that's gonna work, like fit in that lineup, since like the MacBook is already kind of stripped down with high resolution display. Like, how are they gonna justify how that fits in with the product when it's like basically the same deal, right? It's got a Retina display and it's got the thinner bezel. Like, how is that gonna fit? And it's supposedly $1,000. So
it's slightly
how do
more
they justify
ports.
the existence of a MacBook that's like $1,300 when it's like essentially the same thing?
It's a good question. I always saw the MacBook, the straight up MacBook, as more of like experimental because they just got rid of all the ports.
But it wasn't. That's the thing. Like that was sort of their new take on the MacBook Air until people were like, no.
And did it work?
No, that's the thing. It was too expensive.
Yeah. So maybe this is their next try.
Did they scrap the MacBook line then?
I don't see them doing it, even though as we're talking about it, that does make sense to me.
I'm just wondering if there are going to be other things they throw out to keep it at $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, there's a Retina display and smaller bezel, but like, there's no more keyboard. There's just no numbers.
It's no trackpad. The trackpad is $500 extra.
Exactly. It's a $200 accessory. So.
And
Yeah.
Apple's newest innovative revolution, no more screens. All right, we are out of time, unfortunately. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Thank you to USB for sponsoring the show. We're going to have to close up shop, and we'll be back again tomorrow. I guess in closing thoughts, Josh Boydus says it best, bring back the banana phone.
I love it.
Oh,
They did bring back
they
the
did.
banana
Well, not
phone.
here in the U.S., right?
No.
So, all right. Hope you enjoyed today. Our podcast is available on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, FeedBurner, Google Play Music, and the Amazon Alexa. And of course, we're on CNET.com. See y'all tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Thanks, folks.
Yep.